I wish you all a happy new year, happy Chinese New Year, and happy Lunar New Year. So today I'm gonna talk about is it Chinese New Year or is it Lunar New Year? So I'm gonna start by giving you some facts about why it is called Chinese New Year or why somebody might be calling it Lunar New Year. The reason why it is called Chinese New Year is because the festival is actually based on Chinese calendar, and even the zodiac, the animals that it represents is actually Chinese. So the problem starts with Koreans and Vietnamese, as well as other places such as Philippines, Malaysia, and Singapore. They also celebrate this Chinese New Year, and they want that festival to be more inclusive, and there's actually no reason for them to call it Chinese New Year. A Lunar New Year will be more appropriate. And here is actually some of my experience. I've actually seen ethnically Vietnamese people calling it Chinese New Year, and for some reason I haven't seen any Koreans doing that, but that doesn't really matter. The fact that Chinese people rarely say Happy Chinese New Year in Chinese. The only occasion I would see them saying that is when they want to differentiate between the Chinese New Year and the Western New Year. Most importantly is the fact that out of the three lunar calendars that we are familiar with, the Chinese calendar is actually the only calendar that is not lunar calendar. It is actually a lunisolar calendar. So calling it lunar calendar is actually not correct. And that's also why I don't really care much about whether it is called Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year, because it's not accurate. But there's one thing I want to talk about that I rarely see people talking about it on the internet. It's the fact that most of the Koreans and Vietnamese, specifically Koreans and Vietnamese, their intention of calling it Lunar New Year is to discredit anything that has to do with Chinese, simply because of the hate. And when I say hate, it really means hate toward Chinese or China generally. You can see that through the fact that they would go all the way to correct people when people are saying, I'm having a happy Chinese New Year, and they would say like, no, it's not Chinese New Year, it's Lunar New Year. Or even more extreme, they would call it Vietnamese New Year or Korean New Year. And because of that little bad and dirty intention of them, I would call it Chinese New Year forever. And for those of you who doesn't want to disrespect Koreans, Vietnamese, or Chinese people, just call it Happy New Year.